Okay, good afternoon, students. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, last class we were seeing this topics, which was why research is important. So, research is important for formulating government policies, for solving operational problems, for doing proper planning, to study social relationships, and to do hypothesis testing research. So for all these reasons, research is very, very important, and it is important for everyone. Then objectives of research we have seen, which I told you is a very common question which is asked in your question paper. Objective states the different types of research, that is exploratory research or formulative research, descriptive research, diagnostic research, experimental research, and you can also include hypothesis testing research. These are the different types of research, which is also the objectives of research. So explorative means you are exploring something new. Some new event has happened. You want to become familiar with it, then you will do research on it. Like how COVID pandemic, everybody, the concerned people are doing exploratory research on it to get new information on it. Descriptive research is you are describing something. It can be a person or situation or a group. Diagnostic research is you are trying to diagnose and find out why something is happening or why it is associated with something. So experimental research is you do experiment in the lab or you do experiment in the field to come out with your research findings, to get new information from the research topic. So the importance of acquiring research skills. It is very important in today's world, highly competitive world. You need to take better decisions as managers. You need to have all the information at your fingertips. You need to solve management problems, and you can also follow a career as a research specialist. Then we saw the basic research approaches, that is quantitative approach and qualitative approach. Quantitative approach means where you collect quantitative data, that is numerical data, and the data is analyzed with the help of statistical tools. So only with statistical tools can you analyze the numerical data, then only it will be accurate. So it's a very objective type of research done in a formal way. So the techniques are experiments, inferential, simulation. And qualitative approach is where you subjectively do the research to study the behavior, attitude, or opinions of people. So this is non-quantitative data. You are collecting qualitative data which cannot be analyzed with statistical tools. So it is all the judgment of the researcher. What the researcher understood from the qualitative data, that will be the results. So the techniques are in-depth interviews, focus group interviews, and projective techniques. Projective techniques, like I told you, based on psychology, some indirect techniques of doing research on your subject. Then we saw the difference between qualitative and quantitative research. So qualitative research is where you want to understand hidden motivations, hidden reasons behind your consumer, targeted consumer. Quantitative research is you want to collect some quantitative data, and then you want to do statistical tool analysis, and then you want to apply whatever result you got to the rest of the population. that is generalizing the result. Sample, small size sample is taken in qualitative research, which is non-representative, and in quantitative research, large size sample is taken, which is representative of the population. Representative means it follows the same composition that is there in the population, the same composition is followed in the sample. Data collection is unstructured. There is no particular way in collecting data in qualitative research, whereas quantitative research, there is a particular way. Only in that way you can collect the quantitative data. So it is structured data collection. Data analysis, qualitative research, you don't use statistical tools. You cannot use statistical tools for qualitative data, whereas quantitative data, you have to use statistical tools. What is the outcome of result of qualitative research? You get a better understanding of the particular topic on which you are doing research. Quantitative research, you get a result, a course of action, which you can apply to the rest of the population. So qualitative research, I told you, two types are there, direct and indirect. Direct means focus group interviews. You take a group of people on whom you want to do research. You give them a topic and you tell them to discuss on that topic, and then you collect the data, like how we do in GD, the group discussion. Then in-depth interviews. In-depth interviews means you do a very intensive interview of your research subject, and you collect all the data from him. Indirect means without the subject knowing, without the person knowing, you will do research on him with the help of various psychological tools, that is known as projective techniques. This is also known as disguised research, because most of the time the subject does not know that he is being researched by somebody. So quantitative data is all numbers, numerical data you are collecting, and in your questionnaire you will put more close-ended questions. Close-ended questions means the options will be given for each question, like in your MCQ, and you have to take only those options. Those kind of questions are called close-ended questions. And you have large size samples, which is representative of the population. Qualitative research is more of qualitative data is collected, and the information or the result of the qualitative research is based on intuition and experience of the researcher. In the questionnaire, there will be more open-ended questions. Open-ended questions means no option will be given for the question. The person has to answer in his own words. So that is open-ended questions. And whatever data that is collected in qualitative research, it is interpreted by the researcher. So based on his experience, based on his knowledge, he will interpret the qualitative data, and then he will come out with his findings. So small sample size is used in qualitative research, which does not represent the population. That means what is the population's composition, that same composition is not there in the sample. I gave you your class example yesterday. So that is the example which I gave you to tell you what is representative and what is non-representative sample. Then types of research. You have different types of research: descriptive research, analytical research, applied research, fundamental or basic research, exploratory research, qualitative research we have seen, quantitative research we have seen, conceptual research, empirical research, and others. These are all the different types of research. So the approaches to research is applied research and pure research or basic research or fundamental research. So what is basic research? Basic research means you are doing research to find out some basic truth, or you are doing research to find out some basic principles. You are doing the research to get some basic information, which is known as fundamental research or basic research. So you are trying to do research to come out with some new principle or new theory or new knowledge or new facts, which is very basic. So that is known as basic research or fundamental research. So, like you do research, suppose you are a researcher and you do research on natural phenomenon like floods, tsunami, all this natural this problems that occur in nature, like flood is happening now recently, cyclone happened. So we do research on that. That is called as basic research or fundamental research. So you will do research and you will find out, you will come out with some basic information why the cyclone has happened and what can be done to avoid it in future. Or you can do research on pure maths. You may be a mathematician, you can do research on pure maths. So you will come out with some new formula, some new theory in maths. So that will be called as fundamental research or basic research. Or you are a social scientist and you want to do research on human behavior. So you are studying human behavior and you came out with some new information about human behavior. Then you will generalize that result to the rest of the human population. So you will apply that result to the rest of the population, human population, and you will say that rest of the human population is behaving like this. That is example of fundamental research or basic research. So any of this is an example of fundamental research or basic research where you're coming out with something new, basic information, basic theory, or a formula, or some new facts, or something new that you are finding in your basic research. That is called as fundamental research. Then second type of research is applied research. Applied research is when you have a problem and you want to find a solution to the problem. So you will apply scientific knowledge. You will do research by applying scientific techniques and you will come out with a solution to the problem. Maybe you will come out with a new procedure or a new system or a new method or a new device you will come out with to solve the problem. So such a type of research is called as applied research, where you are applying your scientific knowledge to come out with solution to problems. It can be a problem facing society, or it can be a problem which is facing business organization, or it can be a problem which is facing an industry or a country. So any of these where you do research to come out with immediate solution to a problem by using some scientific techniques is known as applied research. So in applied research, you come out with information which is of practical use. So you come out with information which can be practically used by the people. So for example, marketing research companies, they do research on the market to find out a new market, or they do research, this scientists in organization, the R&D department people. They do research and they come out with new products like Fair and Handsome, that is for men. So that is an example of applied research where you are trying to do research on a problem and you want a solution to the problem. So you use some scientific knowledge and you come out with a solution to the problem which is of practical use to man. So this is known as applied research. Then exploratory research or formulative research. This is for those problems which are not very clear, which keeps on changing. Like for example, this COVID problem. This is a problem which is not very clear. Many people have different views on this COVID situation. They will come out with their own views. So it's not a very clear problem. We don't know exactly what is going to happen in the future. When COVID will go away, we don't know. So it is such kind of a ambiguous problem. So for such kind of problem, you will do research and come out with some findings that is known as exploratory research or formulative research. So whatever findings you come out with, it is not the final result. You can do further research on it. So like from 2020, many people have been doing research on COVID, but the research has not stopped there. More and more people are doing research on COVID and they are coming out with their own findings. But still more can be done. So that is exploratory research or formulative research. So mainly qualitative data is collected in exploratory research. For example, you see in organization, absenteeism is increasing. That means the number of employees being absent from work is increasing. So you don't know what is causing this, why employees are not coming to work. So you do a research, exploratory research to find out the reason for absenteeism, why they are absent from work. So when you want to develop a new product, when you want to decide positioning of your product, when you want to study the trend in the market, when you want to find out what appeal should be used in my advertisement, what kind of attractive appeal I can use in my advertising to make it effective. So how to improve my services. These are all examples of exploratory research or formulative research. So here the research does not end over there. It more and more additional research can be done, and as more and more research is done, more and more findings come out, and there is not the final result. There is always chance for more subsequent research to be conducted. So the methods of exploratory research is you do pilot survey, you do survey of experts, you do secondary data analysis, and you can do qualitative research. So pilot survey. Pilot survey means before you launch your new product into the market, you will first test the market on a small group of customers, and then any changes need to be made in your new product, you will do that, and then you will launch the product, final launch you will do of your product. So that small survey which you do before the final launch of your product is known as pilot survey. Secondary data analysis means the data which has been already collected by somebody. Somebody has already collected the data, somebody has already collected the data as part of their research. So you want to analyze that data again. So that data is called as secondary data. So that is also an exploratory research method. Then research where you collect qualitative data which cannot be analyzed with statistical tools, like you are collecting opinion of customers, or you're finding attitude of customers towards your product, or you are finding the preference of customers for shopping. So all these is qualitative research where you are collecting qualitative data. So these are all the methods of exploratory research. Then descriptive research. Descriptive research is describing something that has happened or is happening. So something which is there, which has happened or which is happening, you are just describing it as it is. You are not making any change. So this kind of descriptive research is done in social science and in business research. Social science where you study society. So business research where you study business problems. So descriptive research studies are also known as ex post facto research. This is also known as ex post facto research, another name for descriptive research. So example of descriptive research is you want to find out frequency of shopping among consumers, what is the preference of people, or you want to find out the people who are holding private company jobs, what is their lifestyle or what is their way of working. You will describe it as it is. So that is descriptive research. So buying behavior of customers. When they go to the shop, what is the buying behavior of customers? You describe it as it is. What you observed, you just put it in your research. So that is descriptive research. So descriptive research methods are, you can do survey, like you can make a set of questions, which is called questionnaire, and you can give it to the people whom you are surveying, and you can collect the data from them, whatever answers they have given. So that is a method of descriptive research. Or you can compare or do correlation between two or more variables. That is also an method which is used in descriptive research. So this is how descriptive research is done. Then analytical data. Analytical data means the data which has been collected, that is secondary data or primary data, which the researcher collects for himself the first time. So that is primary data. So it can be primary data or it can be secondary data. He will analyze that data with the help of statistical tools, or maybe he may not use statistical tools and come with some results, with some findings. That is called as analytical research. Then conceptual research. Conceptual research means you want to do some research on a theory or some idea, abstract idea is there. You want to do research on that. That is known as conceptual research. So philosophers, those who read, have studied the subject of philosophy, or thinkers, those who come out with new theories or new principles, they do such kind of conceptual research, where they may do research on existing theory, or they may come out with some new theory or new principle. That is known as conceptual research. Then empirical research. Empirical research is very detailed research which is done, which is done on the basis of where the researcher may observe something, or based on his own experience, he will analyze the data and then he will come out with his findings. So the research can be either through experiments, he will conduct some experiment in the lab, or he will conduct some experiments in the field, that is in the actual environment. He will conduct the experiment, that is known as field research, or he will just observe the research subject and collect some data and then develop a hypothesis for it, and then he will test the hypothesis to see whether the hypothesis is correct or not. So in empirical research, the researcher can control the variables. He can change them in his experiments. He can manipulate them in his experiments. Like suppose he is doing research on finding whether income has an effect on the buying behavior of customers. So these are the two variables, income and buying behavior. So when he conducts experiments on them, on those group of customers, which is his sample, it can be in the lab or it can be in the field, then he can change the variables according to his requirement and conduct the experiment and collect the data. So this type of research is known as empirical research. Then other types of research is, it depends upon the purpose of research, for what you are conducting the research, and the time that is required to conduct the research. So based on the time that is required to do the research, and based on the purpose of research, the other types of research have been classified. So based on time, if you see, there is one-time research and longitudinal research. One-time research means research is done only in a single time period. So for example, if you are doing research in a single year about, suppose say sales is dropping in an organization, the organization is facing in that 1 year period, they saw that the sales has dropped. So they will do research on that. That is one-time research. But suppose if the company has seen past 5 years, their sales has been dropping. Their past 5 years, the sales has been slowly dropping, then that is called as longitudinal research, because you are conducting research for the past 5 years, more than one time period. Past 5 years time period, you are taking to study why the sales has been dropping for the past 5 years. So that is longitudinal research. So studying the trend. Suppose you want to study the trend in fashion for past 5 years. What was the trend in fashion? That is longitudinal research. So like that, longitudinal research will be conducted for many time periods, and one-time research is research which is conducted for a single time period. You will only conduct only during that time period, the research will be conducted, then it will not be continued for the next time period. Then laboratory research. Laboratory research is you do the experiment in the lab. So you will create an environment, that is simulation. Suppose you are doing experiment on consumer buying behavior. Then where the shop-like environment you will create in the lab. That is known as simulation. So just like the shop-like environment you will create in the lab, and you will bring a group of sample customers, and you will see how they are behaving in that lab environment. So that is laboratory experiment. So it's a controlled environment where everything you have created and everything is under control of researcher. Or you can conduct the research in the field also, where the shopper, the customer is in the actual shop and he is doing the shopping over there, and you go there and you observe the customer, or you give him a set of questions, ask him a set of questions and collect the data. That is also known as field research. So clinical research or diagnostic research is like for medical. You do clinical research or diagnostic research. You do very deep study to find out the reason why things are happening, why events are happening. Like the present again COVID you take, that is clinical research or diagnostic research, where the scientists will study the virus deeply in the lab, and they will try to see what is causing the virus to spread, or why it is happening like this. That is clinical research or diagnostic research. So historical research. Historical research means you will take the old documents, historical documents, or the old buildings which are still remaining there, old fort, palace, all those olden times buildings are still there. So you will take that and you will do historical research on them to find out what the past was like, what events happened in the past, what people, how the people were in the past. That is historical research. So by taking historical documents and historical remains, you will study the events of the past. That is historical research. So these are the different types of research. I'll stop here now. I hope all of you are understanding.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Afreen? Aparna?
Yes, ma'am.
Bharat?
Present, ma'am.
Dhanusha?
Present, ma'am.
Dilip? Dinesh? Firdaus? Manohar?
Present, ma'am.
Nalina? Shashikala?
Yes, ma'am.
Shashikala is not there, no? Saundarya Agadi?
Yes, ma'am.
Saundarya S? Lakshman? Jayashri?
Present, ma'am.
Gayatri?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All are done?
Ma'am, Ranjita.
Ranjita. Okay.
Ma'am, Rakshita.
Rakshita.
Ma'am, Sampat, ma'am.
Ma'am, Firdaus, ma'am.
Sampat. Firdaus, I called your name earlier. Okay. Anybody else? That's all? Okay. So after, I think 2 o'clock, I think madam will take class. So I will take class after that. Yeah. Ma'am is taking class at 2 o'clock. After 2 o'clock, I will take HR class. Okay? Okay.